Now, look, we're about to go into the deep end with Sweet Baby here. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's time. Now, news came down last night thanks to our friend Smash JT, who noticed that the Sweet Baby Inc. website had been totally reworked last night. Mm-hmm. And, it is what it is. Big ups to Smash for his story. You guys can go to smashjt.com to he has some really good work over there, and we're going to have him on again very soon. But he talked about the Sweet Baby Inc. website. It says Sweet Baby Inc. has updated their website, and it is even more garbage than it was. It's more garbage than it was previously. They're trying to hide everything. I think this is it's a redesign. I'm not one to get totally up in arms about this. I think this happens all the time. And I think that if they were trying to truly hide things, they probably would have just pulled their website, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever. But I do try to look at it logically. But at the same time, I understand why they would rework it and remove a lot of the things that they removed. Right.
Yeah. Well, for me, a big worry is that just a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, Square Enix's name magically disappeared from the Sweet Baby Inc. website. And that was only a couple of weeks after there were Square Enix shareholders taking to social media saying, what's our affiliation with Sweet Baby Inc.? So it seemed that all was a chain of events that, in my opinion, had me very worried, because if you're a company that can just reach out to Sweet Baby and say, hey, I don't want our company's name to be on your webpage anymore, and they go, okay, that's fine. How many other companies are they working with or have they worked with that are not on that list? But now that list is completely gone. That to me just screams suspicious. And yeah, sure, maybe it'll be back up in a couple of days or a couple of weeks because they're redesigning their webpage, but I do not trust them, and there's no reason why we should.
Well, they've given us reason not to trust them. When you see kind of what they've done in the gaming industry and such, and they actually have noticed the pushback. I would say, I think that's the big thing, is the pushback, and so much so that Kim Belair, the Sweet Baby Inc. CEO, spoke at the XOXO festival. Now, doing a little digging on this XOXO festival, this was an annual festival and conference that was held in Portland, Oregon, which I think really says a lot about it, right? When I say was, the last event was this year. This is the last time they're going to do it. So they're calling it quits. But I thought that this 20-minute TED Talk style speech that Kim Belair did was worth watching in its entirety. Now, I'm going to speed it up to 1.25 as opposed to just regular standard time to watching it, so we can get through it a little bit quicker. But I do want to go through it and watch it and really analyze kind of what she's saying here, because what she does during this 20 minutes is point the finger at everybody but herself. Mm-hmm. Everybody but Sweet Baby Inc. So let's go and take a look at this thing, and we'll start and stop as we see fit. But Vera, you are in the crosshairs when it comes to it.
I am.
So here we go. Let's check this out here in its entirety. First thing to notice, by the way, no thumbs up or thumbs down. They've removed that, as well as no comments on this video. So
classic.
Yes, classic internet. All right, let's go check this out in its entirety.
Hello, I'm Kim Belair. In my circles, I'm largely considered, I think, a relatively nice person. These are my dogs, Sage and Flaky. These are my cats, Tag and the Gray Boy. I really enjoy Lego. I collect skulls and taxidermy, and I also really like playing a lot of video games, including Elden Ring. By day, I am the crazed CEO.
Is it too fast, by the way? Is she speaking too fast?
No, I think that it's good.
Okay, cool.
Though I think it's funny, she's trying to make herself relatable at the beginning.
Well, of course, you humanize.
I play video games just like you guys.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
a good person. I take care of my dogs. I have hobbies. Yes, she has to be relatable and humanize herself.
Yeah.
On a total side note, why? Think about the structure of this picture here, right? She's looking at her phone away from the ocean, while somebody takes a picture of her looking at her phone. It's a really weird picture, just weird. All right, let's continue.
also really like playing a lot of video games, including Elden Ring. By day, I am crazed CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., the DEI-obsessed censorship mafia who is currently ruining and wokeifying all of the video games that you've ever played. Thank you.
Ooh, the cheering
Okay.
for that.
I know. The
Bingo.
audience throughout this is so annoying. They're constantly cheering her on.
Wow.
I think that's the other thing about this is once again, this is in Portland here.
Yeah.
And just listen to how these seals clap along the way. One more time.
You've ever played. Thank you. Thank you. It's hard work.
Joke or self-admitting what they do?
I mean, clearly admitting.
I mean,
I think
okay.
she's putting herself on the pedestal. She might as well have said, "I'm doing the Lord's work."
Yep.
Right. And but that's the thing. Once again, let's take a step back. What is she doing? Where is she speaking? An event in Portland, Oregon. One of the biggest bubbles in America, right?
Yep.
Where if you don't think a certain way, you're out, right? Would she have this same success if she did this exact same speech in Lincoln, Nebraska?
No.
Right? Or I don't know, pick anywhere, Bakersfield, California.
Yeah.
No, of course not. You know,
And another funny thing about the XOXO festival is that the only reason why it rose to prominence is because of The Verge. The mainstream media had promoted it all the way back in like 2016 or 2017. So the only reason it exists is because the mainstream media, who absolutely hates our guts.
correct. Let's continue.
If you haven't heard of Sweet Baby Inc., thank you. That's actually how I prefer it. But if you have, it's
Also,
Ooh,
Why would you not want people to know about your company?
right.
also
That's
yes,
interesting.
interesting statement to say the least. Exactly. Just like, we kind of like want to lurk in the shadows here.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you take on that, the audience cheering for you because of the work that you're doing, yet you don't want people to know about the work that you're doing. You don't want people to know about your company. That's interesting.
Right. It's like the Sweet Baby Inc. detected list, or now it's called DEI detected, that Kabruta started. There were people that were furious when it, was initially launched because they were saying, oh my God, you're just targeting the games on this list and you're boycotting them. You, as a social justice warrior, you as an activist, you could go down this list and buy every single game on it. You can use it in a completely different way than another person might use it. But they were still so bothered by it because they know that the modern audience they want to appeal to doesn't actually exist and they don't show up to buy games.
Mhm.
Let's go to continue here.
either because of the over 80 amazing and often award-winning games that we've worked on, or actually one of those, Usual June, was at this very conference. So yeah, you've either heard us from all of these wonderful games, or perhaps you're familiar with the nearly year-long hate campaign that has been waged against us as a team.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Yeah,
Here we
what
are.
was that?
Woo!
The year-long hate campaign
Yeah.
that has been waged against her and her team. Let's take a look here real fast at many of our friends online here, including, oh, there she is right there.
That's
Vera
me.
Dark.
Yeah.
Vera,
Crazy.
literally.
Gundam. I think that is that a hypnotic thumbnail?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. We got Gundam up here. We got Hypnotic.
We have Kyle on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta be
there's
honest.
there's Endymion in the bottom left. I'm pretty sure that's his.
Rev says
Thumbnail style.
Desu. Clownfish TV. So quite a few.
They put
people.
clownfish on this. That's hilarious. That's so fucking funny. And it's gonna get even funnier based off what she says here, by the way. So shout out to all these people, by the way, who have created this quote unquote hate campaign against Sweet Baby Inc. The most fascinating thing about this is in a little bit, she talks about how it's a coordinated campaign. Like everybody's getting together and it's like, ooh, we should talk. Like, no,
Right, we have a group chat. Like, what are we digging up on Sweet Baby today?
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Like, it's so
Why do you think she
hilarious.
made those two particular thumbnails in color and the rest are all black and white?
That's right.
Yeah. She
Just
wanted to
like-
highlight herself. She wanted to be the center of attention.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And then I think that the other one is highlighted because Asmongold is such a huge YouTuber.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
of
even
course.
he was saying stuff about.
It's
Sweet
very
Baby.
reminiscent of when the DEI detected list started and Alyssa Mercante had made a list of content creators making videos about her, and she swore up and down, I didn't watch them, I just copy and pasted them. Sure. I bet Kim has watched every one of these videos.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, let's continue. Speaking of video, let's see what she has to say about this.
Or perhaps you're familiar with the nearly year-long hate campaign that has been waged against us as a team. Unfortunately, today I'm here to talk about that in a talk I'm going to call What Happens When You Get Harassed. Today I'm here to talk about that in a talk I'm going to call What Happens When You Get Harassed, a Sweet Baby story. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Who is Sweet Baby Inc.? We are a narrative development company, and we are a team of narrative developers. What that means is that we do script writing, storytelling, narrative work for video games. And sometimes that means that we come in for writing punch-ups. Sometimes that means we're the entire writer's room for a project. Sometimes that means we're coming in very, very early on and helping them start the groundwork, the world building. But what I want to really stress is that all of our work focuses very heavily and very seriously on story. That is what narrative development is.
Did you have any, Vera, just to be clear, did you have any questions about what Sweet Baby did? Like, I think I very much understood that's exactly what they do, is they work on the story of video games.
Yep, and we've seen a lot of journos like Alyssa Mercante put out these puff pieces saying Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what you think they do, but they do exactly what you think they do. They're just trying to sit here and tell you you're crazy, even though we're not.
Right. It's gaslighting to its core.
Oh yeah, it
100%. So we know what Sweet Baby Inc. does. This is literally, they're telling us. Okay, we know, we understand that, and I don't think anybody doesn't understand that's what Sweet Baby Inc. does. Right? They work on the narrative of video games. They work in the story of video games. Let's continue.
We started out in 2018, but it was really in 2020 that we kind of came to any kind of industry prominence. And it was on a backdrop of the COVID quarantine, sending everybody home from the office. Me Too sweeping through the games industry as various bad actors were named and shamed appropriately, I should say. And also the Black Lives Matter protests were in full swing.
Huh. That's interesting. So they kind of hitched their tail onto those movements.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Hitched their tail onto activism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The idea of the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter in full swing, and they guess what? They saw an opportunity to hop
They
in.
did.
Saw an opportunity. So
Yep.
How can we line our pockets? How can we take advantage of this using our skill set, and make some money off of this ourselves? She's telling on herself right there.
right.
100%.
At the time, the industry was kind of responding in the way you might imagine, with a lot of corporate overpromising. But within the writing sphere, there were a lot of offers for portfolio reviews. Like, hey, if you're a marginalized or especially a Black dev, we would love to give you a portfolio review. And I want to say I love portfolio reviews. It's something that we also do at Sweet Baby for free. So if anybody in the audience right now is looking for a little bit of a portfolio review or want to talk about video games, we'd love to do that. But the problem with portfolio reviews is that they also assume that it's a meritocracy, right? They assume the problem is your portfolio and not the fact that maybe there's a lot of other reasons that you are not getting the gig. So knowing that there were a myriad problems to be solved, we created an email called Talk@Sweet Baby Inc. And we just...
I want to take a step back here. What is she?
I have a question.
Yeah, yes.
Sorry. I have a question. She specifically said, if you are a Black dev,
Yes.
we will do a portfolio review for you. So those pictures that she just put up of everybody's thumbnails, they're not wrong.
Oh,
Because they are discriminating against other people, and they only will help if you are a Black dev. She's telling on herself again.
100%. It's like with Feminist Frequency and Anita Sarkeesian. First of all Sweet Baby did was grift off of Feminist Frequency and Anita's model, but they were just, with Feminist Frequency, they were just hiring women. So it's the same thing, just in like a different font. Like, oh, let me look at your homework, and I'm just not going to copy it one for one. That's exactly what is happening with Sweet Baby Inc.
What is she alluding to here, real quick, in this statement right here?
But the problem with portfolio reviews is that they also assume that it's a meritocracy, right? They assume the problem is your portfolio and not the fact that maybe there's a lot of other reasons that you are not getting the gig. So
maybe because you suck at your job.
Well, that would assume it's a meritocracy, right?
Right.
So, and then that's what she's saying. It's this you're assuming these things,
Right.
that there's a myriad of other problems why you're not getting the gig, right? What is she alluding to there? Is she saying it's because they're black? Is she saying that it's the industry is racist and sexist and homophobic, and that because you're these things, that's you're not going. That's why you are not employed?
Yeah, just racism. Classic.
Okay, just making sure. So she's a racist. All right, let's continue.
So, knowing that there were a myriad problems to be solved, we created an email called Talk at Sweet Baby Inc. And we just said, hey, if you're a developer who wants to get into the industry, if you're someone who's already in the industry and you want to talk, just talk to us. And so in that year, we ended up with, a lot of people who we connected to, and we talked a lot about advocacy. We talked a lot about helping people get into the industry. And we also talked a lot about the importance of telling stories from a variety of perspectives, and especially of having those writers and those creators in the room to help you with that. And as we joined the new conversations, as we worked on more projects, more people joined our team. And so in that year, or in those subsequent years,
let's go and stop this really quick. Here is their team, 16 people. Right.
Yep.
This looks like Portland.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Or Vancouver. Okay. Just want to continue.
We grew from a team of only 5 to a team of 16 incredibly talented people. And during that time, as you might imagine, a lot of game teams were looking for guidance, both in terms of narrative, but also in terms of learning how to tell diverse stories and feature diverse characters. And so,
okay, let's take it. Actually, I think it's important to take a step back there, right? She says during that time. What time? The time after Me Too, during Black Lives Matter, right? Why? So once again, it goes back to they saw an opportunity to fill in.
And they jumped on it.
Right, exactly. Hey, capitalism, fucking A, go crazy. That's fine. Do it. I have no problem with that. But I think it's important to have that context right there. So
naturally, because we were kind of in that conversation, we helped them. Throughout the years, again, we worked on, as I said, a ton of games. For most of these, just for the record, has anybody, Steph, you are not a hardcore video gamer by any means.
No.
Mm.
Do you probably outside of Spider-Man, and I would imagine you probably know God of War. Have you heard of any of these other games?
Yeah. No. I've
Okay.
heard of Alan Wake, but I only heard of the name. That's it. But yeah, just the Spider-Man one, and then the Miles Morales one, and then God of War Ragnarok. That's it. I don't know any of these other ones.
I am not familiar with Run and Jump Slam Dunk, but I'm sure it was a killer.
Yeah.
Sure, it was great. All right, let's go continue.
A killer of a studio.
Right. Oh, didn't she?
we did writing, story development. Sometimes we just kind of came on and did spot checks. But the thing that genuinely made me really, really proud of all of us was that we were living up to the title that I had wanted to. We were becoming true narrative developers, capable of taking on pretty much any task.
Okay, once again.
Who's narrative?
Right. Let's take this back, right? What is a narrative developer? Right? You're developing a story based off of your input, which once again you were hired to do during the height of Black Lives Matter and Me Too.
Yeah.
So your job is to literally uplift. It's truly a diversity hire. Like at its core, you are
100%.
a diversity hire. Their company is a diversity hire at its true core. Go get your money. That's fine, but let's call a spade a spade. Call it for what it is. It's crazy. So
I think they are diversity hires, but they're at their core, they're scammers.
Yeah, they're bullshit artists.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
As far as a touch story on any project at any time. And that expertise was a result of all the different kinds of work that we were doing. For those not in the industry or not familiar with it, most game writers in their entire careers will see 5 to 10 projects as just, a lifetime. And we would see that many projects in a matter of months. And
why? Why are you seeing that? Because you positioned yourself once again during the height of Black Lives Matter, during the height of Me Too, right? That is why you don't sugarcoat this. This is why you saw so much work.
But see, what happened during that time? A lot of people were afraid of being canceled. That was like the height of the cancellation, right? That was at the height of cancellation. So all of these companies were afraid of getting canceled, and they would come in and tell them, hey, you're going to be canceled. They would use the threat of being canceled as a negotiation tactic to getting hired. We need to come in and change your game, or else you might get canceled. They would use that fear of being canceled as a negotiation tactics. They're nothing but scammers. And then they would come in, and they're not narrative salesmen or whatever she's saying. They have their own narrative. They'll come in and change the game and insert whatever narrative that they want to insert into them. And then the games will ultimately fail.
Yeah, I mean,
They're a bunch of scammers.
Yeah, they create stories based on stereotypes and tokenism and call it DEI.
They call it representation.
Right, representation and inclusion.
All right. Well, we haven't even got to the part where they start blaming everybody. Okay, let's continue.
And what happens when you work on that many projects and you get to see the inside of so many processes is that you don't learn necessarily like, oh, here are the ins and outs of working in this specific company. You instead hyper-focus on narrative and all of its parts. And
I'm sorry. You hear these things. You're like, yes, it's exactly. We know. We understand everything what you're saying right now. And that's the thing. Everybody that's on this list that Vera, that you're on here, like I think everybody on this list understands exactly what they do, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's continue.
You get really good at it. You get really, really specific at it, and you become craftspeople. And funnily enough, as far as this company is concerned, that was actually my end game. I wanted us to become craftspeople because when I was a kid, I learned a lot about Carrie Fisher. And beyond her acting career, she was actually a very respected script doctor in Hollywood. And I remember finding that so fascinating and really, really striking because quite famously, she was someone who struggled a lot with the eye of fame, but it was so comforting and interesting to hear that in this community of artists and writers, she was deeply respected just for her craft. And if I'm being honest, just as a creative myself, that's all I've really ever wanted. I've never wanted to be known by audiences. Really, I've never wanted to be known by gamers, certainly. And I've wanted to be...
Why don't you want to be known by gamers?
Right.
It's so funny. She's like, I just want to be in the shadow, scamming people in the shadow. I don't want anybody to know about me.
Yeah,
I
she
just
wants to be
continue
the
my
man
scam over here. I don't want to be exposed. That's why she's so mad, because she's being exposed. People know what she's doing and it's coming to light and she's being exposed.
Yep, 100%.
I think it's you're right. She doesn't want to know. She doesn't want anybody to really know anything about what they do on a day-to-day basis. And it goes back to that clip that we've seen multiple times. The idea of her saying, like, if it's viral at this point. The idea of, if people aren't down with it, then it's your job to go speak with HR and more or less threaten them about what's going to happen if they don't go along with the narrative. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up. You don't want to be known by the gamers because you want this just to slide on into their games and then just, consume and enjoy. Consume and enjoy. So,
yeah.
I will enjoy this. As Flickerbox came in one more time with a massive $50. Flickerbox, what are you doing? Please, Steph, lead that off.
In Hollywood, bullshit artists would be called something like abstract interpretive media, where race and ideology grifters slap on buzzwords like visionary and inclusive to sell you nothing but smoke and mirrors in an overpriced package.
Abstract interpretive media. What a fucking joke. Wow. Thank you so much, Flickerbox. That is spectacular. Look at that. That's great. Let me get you on the wall. We'll keep going. Boom. All right.
I think that if she was truly proud of the work that she did, she would want to be the face of it. She would want people to know about her activism, about her work. But the fact that she doesn't want gamers to know who she is, the fact that she wants to remain in the shadows, she wants her company to remain in the shadows, is just proof to me that she knows that she's a scammer. She's a snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Right. Cooked, man. Let's keep going.
I have wanted to be known by game devs and writers especially. I want teams and studios and writers and creatives to think of us when they need a hand, when they want that more support. I want to be a game dev, and that's where I hoped it would be, but that is not what happened. Because in October of 2023, we had about 70 games under our belt at the time, but two of them, two very, very big ones, were about to drop within a week of each other. So on October 23rd, there was Spider-Man 2, and then on October 27th, there was Alan Wake 2, both big AAA games, and we had worked on narrative and character for both of them with literally years of work on Spider-Man 2. And
once again, story and character, right? This is everything. Once everybody knew this, I just want to continuously point this out. We all understand what you've done for these games. Everybody, there's zero confusion about it.
Right.
We would finally get to announce them. We were very excited. In retrospect, we were actually like comically excited because we had a couple thousand followers at the time, mostly game devs, and we were like, okay, it's time to stand up and be proud of our work. Wow, this is going to be really nice. And I remember even thinking that morning as we made these posts, like, I wonder if anyone's going to notice that, like, we posted about Spider-Man, we're also posting about Alan Wake. Like, will anyone put it together? Because I think our way of working at Sweet Baby, the kind of like teamwork that we do on so many different games, is really, really unique. I think it's really cool. I think people will be excited about it and about our craft. So I decided to do a cheeky Google and see.
You know, she's truly excited because she has these AAA games under their belt. And if they do well and sell well, that's just another negotiating tactic that they can use. That's something that they can sell to other companies like, hey, look, we worked on Spider-Man 2 and we worked on Alan Wake 2 and they were so incredibly successful. So you need to hire us because look at what we did for these games. We will do the same thing for your game.
Yep, 100%. And it also even goes back to the government money, like with Dustborn. If you have wins under your belt, you have a lot more leeway with companies and to add to your portfolio. And then, government money gets handed to these people left and right, which is just so absurd to think about.
Scarfy says, as a black man, I hate to be represented by bad games to spite white people. I'm a human being, not a tool of hatred.
Yeah.
Scarfy, preach, man. Good for you. It's ridiculous. And Scarfy followed up and says, these games were made entirely for, not to please, but to antagonize. They only get comfort from the discomfort of others.
Well, that is a big problem with a lot of games recently, like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which of course they worked on. They had a scene where Harley is picking her new outfit and she looks at her old Arkhamverse costume and slams the locker and says, I'm not going to wear that anymore. They just did the same thing in the Silent Hill 2 remake. You have Maria in a new outfit, but she shows her old outfit and goes, what do you think if I wore this? It's just a slap in the face to fans of the franchises, and it's just so disrespectful. All they want to do is antagonize, and it just shows how disgusting and despicable these people truly are.
Let's continue on, because now this is where the story, once again, these are, I'd like to just remember, this company is built around crafting a narrative.
Yeah.
What do you think that she's attempting to do in this 21-minute monologue here? Craft a narrative of victimhood. Let's continue.
See, like, hey, can anyone put that together? The Google went bad. I shouldn't have done it because rather than any praise or people going, wow, how did you do it? Or just, hey, a narrative development company, what does that mean? I'm really interested. We were instead found by kind of 4chan and the worst people on Twitter.
Let's take a look at really some of the things that were said here that they chose to highlight here. And if you ever thought every modern AAA game feels written by the exact same people, it's because they basically are.
Yeah, right? Everybody has the same political opinions. They have the same viewpoints on things like Black Lives Matter. There is no true diversity in the games industry because there's no longer diversity of thought because these people are saying, if you do not agree with us, you are against us and we're not going to hire you or work with you. And then it's only the same types of stories that are getting told time and time again.
Every AAA American game studio has been outsourcing their game writing to this shitty ESG obsessed company. It's funny.
It's funny but it's not completely wrong.
Well, she just said that they got a ton of jobs during this time. Like, of course, all these American companies during this height of look in the fucking mirror, right? Once again, why was your company successful? You were the go-to during this time of great angst for these corporations that are going, what are we gonna do? Oh, hire the company that's gonna force diversity that's run by the black lady, right? Like in the most basic way possible. That's what's happened. Sorry, that's the reality of it,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Now let's continue.
And looking back, there is a funny element to it where I go like, people were kind of talking like, I've discovered a secret Canadian company. Like, these are the guys who did it. And the discovery that they had made was actually like our public-facing website that we advertise our services on, and which you can go to right now if you'd like to collaborate with us or just learn more. It's not hidden. And if it is, it's very bad because it's at sweetbabyinc.com.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. What was the thing that we heard, Vera, over and over again about the Sweet Baby Inc. detected group, right? They're compiling all this information from the internet, right? And she's saying, no, it was all right there. It was all right there on our website. That's what Kabrutis said. He's like, look, I've just pulled it right off the website. It was public-facing information, right? And Kabrutis, because he went to their website, which was not a secret, grabbed that data. He was labeled an istophobe, whatever, and a harasser because he just put that data somewhere else on the internet.
Yeah, and you had Sweet Baby Inc. employees like Chris Kindred trying to get him deplatformed, trying to get the list taken down, trying to silence him. And of course, they've been doing that for months, trying to just silence any content creators that are talking about them. And it's like I said just a couple of minutes ago, that list was, yes, filled with lots of good, useful information, but the people like these activists and the followers of Kotaku, the rabid lunatics, they could go to that list and buy every single game and prove us wrong, but they don't because that group of modern audience members doesn't exist.
The way she says it is so funny. She's like, our website is so public. Anybody can go there. We're doing a bad job at hiding it. Anybody can go.
Yeah.
Only the right people can go. Okay. Right. If you're the wrong person, you shouldn't be looking at their website. Their website was probably built, for people or for companies to go to look at all the games that they've worked on. It's another way, for them to sell whatever they're selling. It wasn't meant for gamers because she doesn't like gamers. She doesn't like that gamers found her. She has a thing against gamers. She doesn't like gamers at all.
No.
If she did, then this company wouldn't exist because there would be nothing to change in games. But she despises gamers. She doesn't want gamers to go to the website. She wants companies to go to the website and look at the website and then hire her onto their projects. She wants to make money. If gamers are going to this website, she's losing money because they're exposing what this company is and what they're doing. So the gamers coming to the website, these are the wrong people that are looking at the website right now because they are costing her money by exposing her to other gamers and saying, hey, don't go and buy these games. So they're losing money on that because now they have a bad reputation amongst gamers. They have a bad reputation online, and that's going to cost her in the future.
Yeah, it's just a massive grift to these people. It's like with Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn. They only during Gamergate 1 started paying attention to video games because they saw an opportunity in which they could make money. And of course, now a lot of them have completely fallen off the map because they're massive jokes. But it was always just a paycheck. If the games industry imploded tomorrow, they'd be like, okay, whatever, I don't really care. And then they're going to move on because they are not real gamers. They are not passionate. That's why so many content creators now, like myself, like Craig, so many people are having to fight for this industry because we don't want it destroyed. I love video games. I don't want the video game industry to implode. I just want companies to do better and show a shred of respect for the people that they need to swipe their credit cards in order for them to have jobs and for them to survive.
Delta comes in with the direct donation, says, man, hearing Kim talk really gives credence to the whole Spider-Man 2 removed anything related to the NYPD because activists cried how the first game was propaganda if they were brought in as a response to BLM, even though Miles' dad was a captain.
Yeah.
Let's
go to continue here. Thanks, Delta.
But literally within a few hours of me seeing that first post, we were not only being accused of, forcing a black person into Alan Wake, which one is cool, but we didn't do, and also of putting pride flags into Spider-Man's New York, which again, so good, love to see them, but we were not responsible for them. But suddenly we were being told that we were, funded by BlackRock and that actually we weren't a narrative development company. We were a DEI company, some kind of vaguely defined censor, and that we were here to use all of the power we had amassed to force companies to go woke. And
The idea that you can be a narrative design company while still pushing the diversity, equity, inclusion is very valid. And she doesn't say anything here to not validate those concerns at all.
Oh yeah, no.
So let's continue.
Obviously, that's a very baffling understanding of what work for hire is. I'm not sure how they imagine we did it or how the contracts would be drawn up for it, but it
Wait, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. What? It goes back to, why did you see success? Why were companies hiring you? Once again, when did they hire you? During the height of BLM with Me Too, right? So why did they hire you? It doesn't need to be in a contract. It doesn't need to be at all. You're hired for a specific reason.
Right. It's like companies are not going to pay other groups like Sweet Baby Inks, let's say just for argument's sake, $50,000. They're not going to give you $50,000 to do work they're not going to implement. And clearly, their product, at the end of the day, from what we've heard several times, do end up different because of individuals like Kim Belair and the Chris Kindreds. They are affecting these games, and they're trying to play it off as, oh, well, we didn't actually really affect them. Why would you be hired then if not to affect a final product? She's just straight up lying.
it kind of didn't matter because it just kept evolving and spinning out of control. And suddenly the conspiracy was just alive. They were finding photos of us, sometimes our families or our contractors. They were doxing me and other members of the team. Anyone calling these attacks out as doxing was accused of doxing themselves or lashing out.
I think it's funny, but they always call it a conspiracy, but they never call it a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And to be
Sitting
clear,
here saying, oh, it's just this big conspiracy. So why don't you sit down and show us examples of what you did? She could bring up 2 examples from 5 different games, said, we affected this, we did that. And then, calm those kind of worries and prove us wrong. But they never prove us wrong. She didn't say that they were wrong. She's just sitting here saying that these content creators like myself are pushing conspiracies, but you could simply show us some kind of evidence, and they're not doing that.
Nope.
well, man, there's
Well,
so
by saying
much.
that it's conspiracy, she's making the content creators out to be conspiracy theorists and crazy people.
Yep.
That's what her intention is. She wants the people at this conference, at least, to say like, oh, they're conspiracy theorists. Oh, well, what do you think of when you think of a conspiracy theorist? Like tinfoil hat wearing, screaming into the void type of person. And so that's how she wants these people at this conference to view you guys. Y'all are just a bunch of crazies. There's no truth to this. There's never any truth to conspiracy theories. What are you talking about? It's just a bunch of crazy people
Well, to
screaming
be fair,
into the void.
because something is a conspiracy doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. I said this the other day. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality? 6 months, right? So here we are.
That's me. I'm the CEO. I have issues. But yeah, this went on for weeks and months. At its peak, which was somewhere around like February, March of this year, we were getting something like 300 emails a day, which admittedly some of those are going to be spam or bots or whatever it is, but they were often accompanied by death threats, threats to our family. We did have one bomb threat made to the police that they contacted us about.
And to be totally 100% clear, don't do that. Nobody condones that. Nobody condones doxing. Nobody condones death threats or bomb threats or anything like that. Don't do that. Nobody, I guarantee anybody on that list that she just put on there. And by the way, you may have a defamation suit on your head, Vera, here.
Maybe.
Publicly,
Maybe.
Normal men, normal women don't do that. And also, please provide some receipts.
Yeah.
Be good. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
They never do that.
At best, the nicest thing you would see in some of these spaces was that we were a punchline. But any defenders were really, really shouted down quite quickly. And in moments when this movement couldn't dig up like another reason to attack us, they would just kind of move on to other groups who they perceived to be like us. All while, doing the work of erasing all of those people's and our actual jobs and interest and papering over it with kind of, that rallying cry of far right supremacy, DEI.
Ah, there it is.
Oh no, it's only the far right supremacists that are coming after her.
That's right. There it is. There it
Yep.
is. That's right. The far right, who, just to point out, I think it's really important. The idea of we've seen the polls over the last few days of is inclusion important to you in video games? Me, 97.4%. No, inclusion is not important to you in video games. Vera, you had a poll as well.
Yep.
You said it was like 96% or something like that?
Yep. It was like 96.8%, and it had nearly 11,000 votes.
Right. And to be clear, some people, well, those are skewed. That's your audience. Right. But
Anybody could vote.
they're not that skewed, right? They're not that skewed. Let's say even if they are skewed, right? Let's say, the general on a poll, the general difference like could be like 3 to 5%. That's the general rule that you see, right? It's like a 3-5% difference. Let's just say it's 20%. Okay.
Yeah.
If 80% of your audience is like, no, I'm not interested in that, it's probably not a good idea to cater to that 20%. Just throwing it out there. Like
Right.
very basic business. Maybe I'm the idiot here, but apparently I'm not. Apparently I'm a far right supremacist here for bringing this stuff up. Here we are. Let's continue.
And as ridiculous and stupid as it all was, I actually was not prepared for the escalation of it when noted buffoon and Twitter CEO Elon Musk decided.
Noted buffoon.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Just this is the same guy who we're talking about is sending rockets to Mars, is creating autonomous vehicles, and we saw create a personalized robot that folds laundry today. But yes, noted buffoon. And by the way, how dare she mock a wonderful African-American autistic man? How dare she?
I know. It's pretty Istanphobe of her.
Crazy. All right, sorry, continue. So what did Elon Musk do?
That he would chime in with his very cool thoughts.
Sweet Baby Inc. is an evil blight on the gaming industry. All they do is make games terrible and try to cancel people. They cannot go broke soon enough.
Preach.
Based.
Yeah, some very cool, very good thoughts in there. Lots to think about. So this was hard the whole time. Like, not since the beginning, it wasn't great. But we were receiving countless emails, all this constant hate. It was targeted enough to feel disconcerting, even when it was kind of silly, and it was also kind of drowning out the support. But when Elon chimed in, it really made me realize the scale of it, because the richest man in the world was suddenly turning like the Eye of Sauron onto 16 people trying to make a pretty modest living in the industry that they love, and he was arguing for our collapse. And this meant that
it was implying that they're the Fellowship. We're the good guys, y'all.
Of course. She's a narrative designer, Steph. That's what she does. She drafts narratives. She creates narratives. And what's she doing here?
She's certainly crafting a narrative right now.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
When this happened and when it got bigger than this, you can tell I got it early as a screenshot. But it's.
Think she's following Elon Musk?
No.
just wondering.
No.
It made us realize that this was huge. We were being attacked in a massive and coordinated campaign of harassment, and that sucks. But
I wonder if she's going to be like, but how can I use this to my advantage? Because they're...
Okay.
Yeah.
I really want to really focus in on this one more time, right? This idea of this statement right here.
Massive and coordinated campaign of harassment. That this was huge. We were being attacked in a massive and coordinated campaign of harassment.
Coordinated. That's interesting.
I'm gonna be very honest with you. This group of people, they don't care enough, or they're like, there's not enough interest to coordinate an effort. I think this is very not coordinated. That you're giving everybody way too much credit. Way too much credit here. Sorry, I just found that
it's just content creators talking about their actions and their employees' actions.
Yes,
it's just all that it is.
And you think that she would, speaking of like a campaign, you would think that she would want to mention the idea of the campaign that was led by Chris Kindred. And what was that hate campaign that Chris Kindred did?
That was
Fair.
against Cabrutus when DEI detected, or then it was called Sweet Baby Inc. detected, began. Chris Kindred took to social media and basically demanded that Cabrutus's accounts get removed, that the Steam list gets removed. I mean, there have been coordinated attacks and campaigns against content creators like Cabrutus, like me, like you, simply for speaking out against their actions. She is delusional, though, to think that it's organized. It's just all roots back to her feeling of like self-importance, right? She thinks that she's the center of the world, and it's funny because in this she tries to start it off with saying they've done so much in the industry and they've made such an impact that the team is so proud of, but then she tries to shift the narrative to we're just a small team and now people are coordinating attacks against us. Like, this is what happens when you are on social media. You are selling products and people do not like you. You're going to receive backlash, you're going to receive criticism, and criticism does not mean harassment, but these people will constantly try to say that it is harassment because it's all they've got going for them. They're not good writers, they're not good producers, they're not real game developers, so they have to try to grasp at any shred of relevancy, and for them it's just saying you're all racist, sexist, bigots, and companies should hire us because of our race and because of our political alignment.
It's interesting that she viewed it as a coordinated attack, because oftentimes these types of people, especially with her company, like I mentioned earlier, she was they became prominent during the height of BLM and during the time when cancellation campaigns were going on, right? So these are the type of people that would participate in those types of campaigns. So, and I would bet money that she used that as a negotiation tactic to, get these companies to hire them to provide services.
Right.
So yeah, I think that if they are the types of people that would use cancellation campaigns as a negotiation tactic, they would view people finding out about their company and exposing their company to the people on their platforms as a hate campaign. They would view it like that because that's how they partake in social media. Like they're using hate campaigns, cancellation campaigns as negotiation tactics. They've probably participated in it in the past. So to them, this is a hate campaign, even though it's not. They're just being exposed. Their company is being brought to the light.
Yeah.
So people can see like what types of services that they provide, so they just can be more informed as a consumer.
Yeah.
But to her, it's a hate campaign.
100%.
Here is, once again, this is her literally talking about threatening people.
Put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
That's literally all you need to hear.
Very sane behavior right there. Let's terrify them.
Yes. All right, let's continue here.
And that sucks, but it does get me closer to the question of what happens when you get harassed. So first of all, just as a spoiler, like what happens when you get harassed is it sucks. I can't recommend it. If I had to rate the experience, like 1.5 stars, probably. It's not.
Richest man in the world has a curse on
But-
you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Another Elon dig.
What
Yeah.
the heck?
More specifically, what happened during all of this, if I can kind of dig down into this review, is, we lost our voice. And we didn't just lose our voice as a collective, we lost our voices individually because people on our team were either hounded off of social media or, they get attacked so consistently that it just becomes frustrating to use. It's not enjoyable to hop on anywhere and get that wave of hate. So within Sweet Baby, beyond what we do for work, there are authors, there are comic book creators, there are TTRPG creators, game designers, people who have other work that they want to share with the world that they should be allowed to share with the world. But just for existing within our company, just for working on the games that they do, they were attacked. Even contractors, people who literally worked with us for a spot check a week or a couple months. But there was really, really nothing we could do. And as silly as it is, and as little as I miss the current Twitter, as little as I regret leaving it, the loss of frivolity and, frankly, dumb bullshit is actually a little soupçon of dehumanization, because I would love to post a picture of my latte or my dogs without people going like, oh, I guess coffee is woke now, and hey, that dog is pretty gay. But we weren't allowed. We are no longer.
Look at that gay dog.
Damn.
It's a gay dog. Just throwing it out there. Okay. Well, sorry. Do y'all have any thoughts on anything she just said here?
No, she's just absurd.
Yeah, she's just,
Okay.
I'm the victim. I was victimized off of social media. And the fact that she says that we weren't allowed, you're allowed to do whatever you want.
Right.
You can make the choices that you want in life. Unfortunately for this person, the choices that she made led to this. These are the consequences. And, the fact that she doesn't like gamers, the fact that she pushes for, that video that you just played, use scare tactics. Like, her tactics are really bad. She has really bad tactics. And the company that she built and is working for or is in charge of, gamers don't like that company. They don't see a reason for this company. They just end up producing bad games. So these are the consequences of it. And she's free to leave social media if she wants to, but she's also free to protect her account. She doesn't have to have an open account so everybody can see it, right? She doesn't have to have a public account. She can stay where she wants and just make it a private account. She can go private. She doesn't have to stay public. She can mute people. She can block people. She can do a lot of things, but it wouldn't fit the narrative of I'm the victim.
No, of course not.
So there's a lot of ways for her to continue to stay on social media. She is allowed to stay on social media. Nobody is kicking her out anywhere. She just doesn't want to, because if she leaves social media, then she can say, I was bullied off of social media.
Yeah. And she's saying that, oh, I've had to leave social media, or I feel uncomfortable on social media because we lost our voice. They didn't lose their voice. What happened was just people stopped listening to them and people stopped taking them seriously. And that really bothers her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They lost their validity to it. And it all came with, they hopped on the gravy train. And when the gravy train started to slow down, they got a little upset because they got caught for their entire business model. So,
yep.
Longer allowed to be in the conversation without, what amounts to mass targeting. Look at him up there. And don't get me wrong, people did defend us.
By the way, why's the dog got to be black? I'm just kidding. Sorry. Jokes. Let's go.
Some very, very great folks, like often writers, game devs, people who we had worked with, people we had not worked with, who could see this thing for what it was. But while I appreciated the defense and the team appreciated it so much, that support is still really hard to feel in the panic of the moment. And so instead, I felt really guilty. I felt responsible.
Sorry, just wanted to stop that for a second. Just gonna let that sink in real quick.
I felt bad, not for doing the job that I love, but for building a space that was meant to be protective and creative for a bunch of people, and having it turn into something that, through no fault of our own, saw my friends and my loved ones and my colleagues and my coworkers just viciously and brutally hurt. I felt bad for making a company at all. I felt bad for believing in it and for speaking on it. People would come up to me, especially at events like I went to GDC, and they would very kindly tell me that they were inspired by me or by us and by our collective strength and our resilience. And I would...
Just a quick stop down. Where is GDC? San Francisco, California.
Yeah.
Another bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You get
Echo
in your bubbles.
chamber.
Yes, bingo. Your echo chambers, 100%.
would say thank you so much, but deeply I would feel very ashamed, which intellectually I know is wrong, right? We are doing something good. We are writers and designers of tremendous skill and tremendous experience, and we've never censored anything, nor have we ever wanted to, frankly.
Okay, there's a statement right there. I think it's worth pointing out. We have never censored anything, and you never wanted to. I think that's word salad, personally. There's a difference between maybe censoring and potentially changing to fit your narrative as the narrative designer. That's just me. Any thoughts on that, Vera?
Yeah, I mean, the definition of censorship is, suppressing or removing or editing any parts that are considered obscene, unacceptable, a threat to security, et cetera, et cetera. What they do is, yes, they do censor content.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's continue. By the way, guys, thanks for hanging with us. Vera, thank you for hanging with us a little longer. This has gone a little. Sorry,
course.
there's just so much. There's so much to digest here.
There
If you really
is.
want my opinion, I think largely games could be hornier. I think they should be darker. I think they should be stranger.
Anybody else want any more hornier games out there? Kim Belair wants
I
them.
don't need horny games.
Okay.
That's
Gonna
weird.
time
to me.
code that 1502.
I think it's funny that people like her say this, but yet we're getting like Witcher 1 remakes, and we basically know for a fact that the female trading card system where you have sex with a woman and then you get her nude card is going to be removed because that offends them. It's only the right type of sexuality that they want to see in their entertainment, not sexuality for everybody to be represented, only the content they want to see and that they want to consume.
Right.
At the core of my approach here, and the approach that we take as a company, I genuinely believe that representation is not censorship, it is innovation.
We hear this all the time. Representation is innovation. Steph, what's your thoughts on representation as innovation?
It's not innovation. Representation has always been there in all aspects of life. It's always been in media. It's always been in games. It's always been in Hollywood. It's already there. What you want is to insert yourself into something. You want to see yourself in a game. You want to see yourself in a movie. That's it's not innovation. It's self-insertion. That's all it is for these types of people. They want it to be like in modern times. What I believe in right now, these are my beliefs. I want to see that represented in a game. I don't want because representation's always been there.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
always been there, but they just want to see themselves in it. They want self-insertion in a game.
And I think that's the big thing is like nobody cares about representation. People care about forced representation, right? Put the best. It always goes back to talk about meritocracy. Like people just want the best. If it's the best character that fits the story, okay, fine. If it's the best, whatever, they just put the best in that fits the best job for whatever it is. So.
Diversity in narrative makes things more intense. It can make it more visceral and more real. It doesn't have to always make something more wholesome or softer. I really do believe that by opening up to new perspectives, by getting folks in the room, we actually push more boundaries and we get more real. But what happens when you get harassed is it doesn't matter what you believe. What's also frustrating is that it doesn't matter what they believe either, because so much of this campaign is just misinformation. It's assumptions and lies about who we are, what we do, and what we want. We have worked on 80 games, as I said before, and I think that's pretty cool, but to them, it's something closer to 200. We have our little fingers, our woke little fingers, in every pie in this industry. And that's the other thing that happens, right?
She tries so hard here to convince you that they're just a small team. There's only 16 members. They've only worked on 80 games. Look at some of the companies they've worked with and on the games. Alan Wake 2, God of War Ragnarok, Suicide Squad, Sony Santa Monica, Xbox. Like, we are talking about some, in a lot of cases, massive games and massive companies. So she's trying to say we don't have that much influence. That is complete and utter BS.
So she's going to continue. Well, we'll fly through this. We'll fly through this here.
They take away your power in some ways, but they also ascribe to you this enormous power. They will claim that you are rich, that you are backed by, shadowy cabals, government orgs. They claim you have the ability to force their favorite studios to bend to your whim rather than the truth, which is that studios and teams hire us to make stories better. Not woker, but actually better.
If your game sucks so much and you are so bad at your job that you have to hire other people, you probably shouldn't have that job in the first place. This is the major problem with the industry. We're not hiring people based on their skills. We're not hiring the best people for the job. We're just hiring the people that fit the checklists and check off these boxes. And yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to change anytime soon. But at the end of the day, that's all that this is people being hired and sucking so much that other people have to be hired to try to, market a game towards a certain audience because they realized halfway through the development cycle, oh shit, we don't have an audience and nobody's going to show up to buy it.
I'm going to be really blunt here, and pardon my bluntness. But if you're being hired to make games better, how come pretty much all of your games have failed catastrophically?
Yep.
You're clearly not good at your job. Like, it's obvious, just based from a sales perspective, you're not doing your job good enough, but you continuously are hired.
Yep.
Right? So what does that tell you? Your games are not working. It is what it is. Your job is, you're not good enough at your job.
Exactly.
Sorry, not sorry. It is what
Mhm.
it is.
And believe me, when this first started, I was so worried that studios would stop working with us. I worried we seemed too toxic. I worried we seemed too dangerous, too beleaguered, too much of a risk to work with, but that is not what happened. What happened was, at least privately, every team we worked with was quite supportive. The external silence, I'll say, was deafening at times and also frustrating, but such is the way of corporate. And
Is this the same lady who just reworked their website to remove their partners from their that they work with? And she's talking
Yep.
about keeping things private. Just
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of irony there. That's all. Just a little irony.
And it was still nice fundamentally, I think, to realize that studios, teams, and individuals still wanted us around and still saw our value. Which I will say, though, is also a very disorienting experience, because what happens when you get harassed is that you realize that most of it is just noise and that nothing functionally or fundamentally changes. People say, I'm so sorry for what you're dealing with, but could I get that script on Monday? And you say, yeah, it sucks. Anyway, I will get that to you Monday, though, because there is no time off. There is no stop in video game production. You can monetize a hate video, but there is no hazard pay for harassment. And we are not, and despite what you may have heard, so moneyed that we can just take a break or take a vacation and chill. So,
by the way, there's no
boo-hoo.
Right. Go ahead, Vera. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's the total victimhood mentality. Like, oh, despite beliefs, we don't have enough money to just take a vacation. Okay, and this is your job. You have to do your job. I'm not going to feel bad for you that you can't take a little vacation just because some people on the internet were a little mean to you and a little mad at you.
Well, and to be clear, she said there's no stopping in game development. Well, guess what? Go to any industry in the world. That industry doesn't stop. It's just the reality. And you know what? Sometimes people have bad days. And you know what they do? They get their ass out of bed and they go to their job and they continue working. That's just how it works. Listen, there are days where I wake up, I'm like, God, I would love to sleep until 3. But you know what? I got fucking responsibilities, right? And in my case, I'm the CEO. You're the CEO of your company. Get your ass up, stop feeling sorry for yourself, and do your fucking job. Sorry.
Yep.
Little Billy Madison for you right there. Let's continue.
By day we worked, and meanwhile, all around us, the noise continues. And this is here because I remember one evening I was coming home and I was like, all right, I've dealt with too much today. I'm just going to relax by going to the Yakuza subreddit, which I have to say 99% of the time is a wonderful space. It's very funny and the people are pretty nice. But not even thinking, I scrolled past a joke about Sweet Baby Inc. And the thing is, in service of this great subreddit, it was actually well-intentioned. It was not a joke intended to make fun of us. It was intended to make fun of the campaign. But the strangeness of it still, of it being everywhere, of it feeling inescapable, but meaning nothing in my day-to-day, was too utterly bizarre. And beyond just having to mute a wonderful, wonderful safe place for myself, I also wanted to quit. I wanted to leave the company. I wanted to do something else.
Bye-bye.
For me.
See you later, world's smallest violin over here.
If she decided to quit, like, what would have happened? How would a Mercante or a Polygon or a Verge responded had they packed up and been like, they're done?
No, because this is exactly what happened with Gamergate 1 going into Gamergate 2. Right at the beginning of Gamergate 2, Gamergate 1 was like officially over, right? Because Feminist Frequency announced their shutdown. But Kim Belair was emboldened to create Sweet Baby Inc. because of people like Anita Sarkeesian and Brianna Wu. So there would inevitably be somebody else to follow in Anita's footsteps, Zoe's footsteps, Kim's footsteps. There's always going to be someone else.
Let's go ahead make our way through this last few minutes. I know this has been long, but we appreciate you guys hanging with us. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button. It helps get the show out there. I am 100% positive that this show will get demonetized. So we appreciate your support, your super chats, your direct donations. Know that we probably won't be able to read all of them. I'll read some of the larger ones, obviously. But in the interest of Vera and Steph's time, we probably won't be able to read all of them, but we do greatly appreciate your support as it allows us to do this Monday through Friday for you guys. Thank you guys very much.
I'll tell you that running a self-funded business in a very volatile industry is very hard on a good day, especially when you do something with us. But it's hard, let alone when like Elon Musk is like crawling bleary-eyed out of his money pit to tell us that we deserve to go broke. It's a disaster. But what happens when you get harassed is also that you realize all you have is each other. And you can maybe call it trauma bonding, but when there are no prizes and no funds and no vacations and as compensation, right? And the only thing you have on your plate is suddenly your widely derided work, you also start to make more space for each other. You start to recognize that the work will sometimes feel thankless, but that you still love it. And you love it, fortunately or unfortunately, because you get to do it together as a team. And for us, that means we're doing it as Sweet Baby Inc. What happens when you get harassed is that you forget who you are, but then you remember. We are writers, we are storytellers, we are narrative designers, we are creative, we are passionate, we are funny, and we are doing this because we love it. We love it so much, in fact, that we'll do it even through the worst months of our lives, because our lives ultimately are about stories. And as I wrap up, I want to say that that's frustrating too, because it makes it really hard to talk about. There is an instinct, I think, in all of us, or at least a desire to tell a good story. And this whole thing, whatever it is, isn't a very good story. There's not much of an arc, and frankly, there is no resolution as yet. Sometimes a story is just what happens. And what happens is you get hurt, you feel bad, you get tired, you get scared, you get angry, you get sad, you get really, really good at Elden Ring. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Can we just take a quick... Hold on. I just want to look at the audience. These are all masks. Do you see all these masks in here?
I can't see anything.
Oh my God. Yeah, so all these I just see little white masks of the audience in here. That tells you
surprising.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just looking at this a little tighter. These are all little masks in here. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Okay. Tells you what you need to know. All right. Sorry. I know my monitor is a little dark. Yeah. I'll take a screenshot for you guys and put it over on X.
I'm great at it now.
There? No, nothing.
But after that, you get back to work. Because what happens when you get harassed is that you have to live with it and they have to live with you. And so we'll see, I guess, what happens next. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Because they love to claim criticism as harassment, because they put my image up there, Sweet Baby Inc. harassed me, guys. I am bothered, but I still have to go on with my day-to-day life. I still have to, do the videos today and do my live streams. I can't believe it, though. I don't know how I'm going to get through being harassed by Sweet Baby Inc.
You're brave, Vera. You're brave. And I appreciate your bravery for getting up and dealing with this harassment.
I know.
This
I'm a very strong person. Yeah.
To be clear, this harassment campaign led by Kim Belair targeting you.
I know.
And mentioning this.
It's honestly just so grotesque. It's so heartbreaking. I can't believe this.
Hey, can we get a round of applause for Vera and her bravery, please, in the chat? Just a wow. Now, I did want to bring up your tweet here. You want to kind of go into this a little bit?
Yeah, ultimately, the fact that she starts it off with saying what happens when you get harassed, a Sweet Baby Inc. story is rich, because what about their team trying to get creators deplatformed like Cabrutus, like Yellow Flash, like you, Craig? And what about their consultants claiming not even that long ago that they wanted to burn the industry to the ground? So they're saying all of that's okay and that's not harassment, but us simply putting up videos discussing this awful behavior by their employees, but that's harassment? It's absolutely absurd. Criticism and harassment are not the same things. And all we're doing as content creators is criticizing their employees, the games they're working on, all of their decisions, but they love to label anything harassment because it's just the victimhood mentality. And this victimhood narrative is absolutely nauseating. It's happening time and time again. But maybe if you just put out better products and you did a better job, we wouldn't have to criticize you. And then you could go on living your life the way that you want. But these people don't understand that. We are sick and tired of buying trash products and supporting activists that hate our guts. And they're really learning that lesson very quickly now.
So these
Mm-mm-mm.
types of people are very much rules for thee and
Yeah.
not for me. Because they
100%.
live in their own little bubble, they view you as the enemy, so you are the proper person to go after and harass. And they won't mention that. She'll never mention that in her whole little speech that she just gave, because that would make her look bad and it doesn't fit the narrative that she's trying to put out there. So she would never mention that. But
Vera,
in their minds, they view y'all as like, oh, but you're see, we're just the tiny little people, group of 16 poor people that they're coming after, poor us. But y'all with your huge followings, how dare you come and attack us? You're the enemy. So we can totally launch a hate campaign against you guys and launch a
Right.
cancellation campaign against you guys, deplatforming campaign against you guys. We just won't tell these people over here that we're doing that because it'll make us look bad. But
Yep.
we can totally do that.
Vera, I have an idea for you.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who was prominently featured in that image near the center of our
Yeah.
planet, I think that you should create a TED Talk style video in the exact same
I
form
should. I
and
should.
then present it the exact same way. I think that'd
Yeah.
be wonderful. And
Maybe in the next couple days I can work on something.
just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Now, look, I did want to. We'll wrap this up with this. It's obvious that Kim Belair and Sweet Baby Inc. Look, I've never spoken to Kim Belair, right? I did invite them to come on the show when all this was going on, but it was obviously caught in the 500 or so emails that they were receiving on a day-to-day basis. So I don't blame them, but I do want to publicly point out that yes, look, Sweet Baby Inc. feels that there's a lot of confusion and quote misinformation about what they do. If that's the case, let's clear it up. This is an open invite for Kim Belair to come on Side Scrollers and have a good faith conversation about what they do, her company, and the quote misinformation and harassment they say they see, and more. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a little transparent. If they see there's an issue, come on the show and speak directly to this audience, right? We will bring Cabrutus on, we'll bring Grums on, and we can have that conversation. We'll bring Vera on. We'll bring, you know what we'll do? We'll bring everybody who is on that list that just to be able to ask, okay, what did I do? Please tell me about the harassment that I have given to you and tell me more. And because I think that it's important to get clarity from these people. So I will open up our platform for them to come on and talk. Will they do it? No. But it's important to at least reach your hand out and extend it and say, hey, come on, let's give it a go. And they ultimately will reject it because the reality is that they don't want solutions, right? They want to keep this going because, as I said, it's just a big grift for them, right? I'm here trying to, and yes, I would love for them to, bring some receipts. So
yeah,
but
but Kim will show up when Alyssa shows up, and that's going to be approximately never. I mean, maybe we could get Anita Sarkeesian to show up because she needs money, but
yeah,
I don't even know about that one.